another show of Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. It's been a few weeks. Thanks for tuning back in. We've run some repeats in the past. You got to see Jess Settles again, and upcoming we're going to have Parker Hesse and Jake Gervais on, promoting Jake Gervais's camp. Of course, the Super Bowl champion, but you see a champion here, an NBA champion from the Chicago Bulls, former Iowa Hawkeye great, and now current Hawkeye broadcaster with our buddy Gary Dolphin. It's Bobby Hansen. Bobby, great seeing you. Thanks for coming in. How you doing?
Dave, thank you. Doing good. Yeah, and kind of first time here in the studio with you, and we're all getting back together here and getting life back to normal.
It really is. You know, you and I and my production partner Rob, the three of us are getting reacquainted again because you worked with Rob back in the day at Hawkeye Properties, and so now you're the regional director for the Better Business Bureau of Greater Iowa. But we're going to get to that later on in the show, talk about your family life, your wife Mary, and your three kids. Gosh, 35 years you two have been together.
Yeah, been married for 35 years.
Yeah,
met her
longer than that.
Met her after the Final Four in 1980.
Whoa.
And she's been my rock, David, you know, as your wives are. And the level-headed one in the family, and a terrific wife, terrific mother. So,
well, that's great. Like you said, together more than 35 years, married 35 years. And then, of course, a couple of kids, 3 daughters we'll talk about and their families. But we got to get to some pressing issues here, Bobby. Personal lives aside here. I also want to talk about your history with the Hawkeyes, with Lute Olson coming up. You're Des Moines Dowling Catholic State basketball champion. Final Four, as you mentioned, at Iowa your freshman year, and Sweet 16 during your 4-year run. You had a heck of a run, 1,000-point plus at Iowa, and battled through a lot of injuries and still had a very successful 9-year career, culminating with that championship with Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls. But before we get to that, let's talk some future NBA in Keegan Murray. Draft's coming up in a little over a month at the end of June here. We're at the end of May. We record this show every Tuesday, and so today we're at May 24th. So, Bobby, what do you see with the prospects of Keegan Murray? Are you in the camp where the mock drafts have him at least in the top 5, or where do you see Keegan going?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of NBA scouts, both at the end of the year, final third of the year. The guys that I know, I've talked to Brent Berry from San Antonio. Tommy Massimino used to be our video man with the Hawkeyes. He's one of the main scouts with Orlando. I talked to Mike Bourne, who lives in Norwalk, played at Iowa State for Johnny Orr. He's one of the main scouts with Indiana. And those are all teams that have pretty high picks up there. Yeah. So Mike told me that he wouldn't drop below Indiana's pick at, I think it's number 5, maybe number 6 there. But he asked some really good questions and easy to answer when you got a talent, you got a young man with the character of Keegan Murray. Chris, I'm going to include him in the conversation as well because they're just identical twins. It's just a matter of confidence for Chris, but Keegan will be high in the draft. He'll go early, and he is going to have a special career moving forward.
I would agree with you and look forward to that, and I'm going to circle back to Keegan here in a moment, but you bring up Chris. It's interesting because I had Keegan on this show last August in studio, and then Chris was on in December, early January. Interesting to see, as you mentioned, Chris's stock. So I've had a conversation with a former Hawkeye and current coach, and Jeff Horner joined us regularly on this show during the season. And he said something to me, Bobby, I'm curious on your thoughts. He said, Dave, don't be surprised when a scout sees Keegan and says, oh, Chris is his twin brother, to your point. Hey, look what Keegan, how he matured in the last year and a half. I bet you Chris can do the same thing. We're going to take a flyer on him. So let me paint a scenario for you. If you're Chris Murray and you get a late second-round pick like a Wieskamp did last year, 42nd, 44th, Luka Garza 52nd, you were a 55th pick in the draft of 83. So if you get that pick and you're Chris, do you come back to Iowa? I'm not saying you're speaking for Chris, but if you're Chris, you come back to Iowa or do you go to the draft?
You come back to Iowa.
Okay.
That's too low. I think an argument can be made, Dave, if he's one of the top 5 picks in the second round. But I don't know what money and who a lot of those lower picks who they got, but he is certainly on their radar. He's left-handed, but people don't know Keegan is also left-handed. He just chose to shoot right-handed, and it's amazing what Kenyon and Michelle have done with the family with McKenna and another brother as well, just grounded, humble, and that's what the NBA needs.
Yes.
You know, they need their stars to be like these kids are. So, yeah, we everybody involved with Hawkeye athletics and basketball and want the best for whatever our student athletes, our guys are doing. But I think Chris has that opportunity to shine like Keegan did. What Chris needs is playing time and confidence.
Yeah.
When he got it, 29 points, career high versus Indiana, he was phenomenal. He's got such a sweet left-handed stroke, and again, got that same temperament, same intense attitude that his brother Keegan has. And I tell you, being around him for the last 3 years, I couldn't tell them apart. And it's almost hard to even say hello. You just kind of say, "Hey guys, how you doing?" I don't know which one. So Keegan grew a little chin hair, I think, and then we've been like, "Okay, that's Keegan."
You know, it was funny because when Chris was here, he said, "Well, I'm the funny one, Dave." But initially, Rob and I were kind of joking because we were sitting in studio here, and he would crack wise a little, but not much. And I'm like, "Now, when do we get to see that?" Because I'm like, I can't tell them apart.
No.
But you know, when you bring up this very interesting point, Bobby, you said Courtside, you and Dolph get to see all this firsthand. You're a former great player, former NBA player. You get all this. So my question that I keep thinking when I see him play is, we saw the maturation of Keegan. And I don't think that was a surprise to you. I know Jeff Horner said to me, "Hey, at D2, I tried to recruit the daylights out of both of them because I knew," especially after they came back from the IME Academy. He's like, "I knew." And he goes, I could have got him for a year or two. He goes, and they would have transferred, justifiably so. But he said a lot of these people, a lot of the scouts, they can't shoot. That's all. And that's what Chris, kind of like your facial expression, Chris was like, "Dave, that's all we did was shoot."
Yeah.
So this is no surprise to you that they've matured to their level because we know what Keegan did as a player. We saw he and Michelle both, how they've developed these young men, as you mentioned, and with McKenna, their daughter, as well. So for you, seeing it courtside, that did have to make you feel great to see in the last year and a half. Bobby, I know you heard all the hubbub we all heard in social media. Sometimes can be garbage and wasted scholarships and why did they go after them and all that garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I never saw him play at Prairie.
Yeah.
I worked with a substitute teacher there. We did radio on one of the trips. Gary couldn't make it, and he said, "Yeah, you'll be surprised at how good that they will become." But that year, you got to give Fran McCaffrey the credit of recruiting these guys when nobody else at that D1 level saw it. But Fran has an incredible eye for talent. And what he saw in both those kids and offered them both, really nothing to lose. But Fran will tell you, it was that year down in Florida where all they did was play basketball. Because these kids are 4.0 students.
Yeah.
School was not a big part of that academy that they were at. I mean, they had to do their stuff, but most of the time was spent in training. So these guys have been trained spectacularly, and they came back and performed. And when you're looking at an NBA first-round draft pick in college, you want to see consistency there.
Sure.
You saw consistency out of Keegan. Every game, rough stretch at Iowa State when I think he had a bad ankle, but he came right back after that, had a terrific game. And then Richmond, I think the ankle was bothering him a little bit. But those are the only two games that really wasn't to 20-plus points for Keegan. And just fun to see young people blossom like that. And I'd say Keegan is smooth, like Scottie Pippen was smooth. You just glide down the court and how easy that he jumps to dunk the ball. And guy can't shoot. That scout should be fired, whoever told you that.
Well,
these guys
but
can
again,
shoot.
You hear all that garbage. And like you said, kudos to Fran for just saying, no,
Yeah.
And Bobby, I knew this would happen when we get together. Time goes so quickly. So we have Bobby for the whole show. So just like with Dolph, when I get guys like he and Dolph, I'm going to take the whole show with them. So let's wrap up this first segment in the next couple of minutes here, Bobby, and then we'll do the next two segments with you talking about your life at Iowa, playing with under Lute Olson and in the NBA, winning that NBA championship. I can't say that without smiling, and you can't hear it without smiling. I mean, how cool that is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was like talking to Jake Gervais about winning the Super Bowl, and Parker Hesse did the show with me too, and they're very close. He's like, "God, did he pay you to say it all those times?" And I said, he smiles every time I say it. It never goes away.
Right.
But I need to get to this year's team and get your thoughts. Let's say Chris does come back, and I agree with you. I think he will, depending something happening, in a crazy good way for him. But let's say Chris comes back. Obviously, Josh Agundale played some minutes down the stretch last year. You commented on that. He's coming back. He left, coming back. Joe Toussaint going to be at West Virginia, not coming back. Austin Ash is transferring and playing his sixth and final year. So Jordan Bohannon is done, right? Or does he have eligibility
I think
left?
so. Yeah, he's out there making money now.
So J-Bo's done. So I want to talk to you. Where do you think the Hawks go? I know the transfer portal is still open for Fran and the Hawks. Some things are cooking. I've heard a lot of things, as you have, and we really can't go on the air on the line with some of this stuff. But how do you see the Hawks shaping up for next year, Bobby?
Yeah, good. You're going to come back hungry. Dave, you know, the way the season ended, NCAA tournament loss, unfortunate at Richmond, but the 4-game run at the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis was incredible.
Yeah.
I've witnessed 3 of them now. 01, 06, and this one here in 2022. And every time I come away exhausted. I can't imagine what the kids were. But yeah, I think these guys are going to realize what they were able to do and get back in the gym hungry. And I love Philip Rebraccia. I think another year with Philip in the system and his improvement here during the off year, work on his jump shot a little bit. He's not going to grow, but he's a utility guy.
Yeah.
So I think he's a glue guy, a guy that can play a lot of positions. Connor McCaffrey, I think that's good news, getting Connor to come back. He's a coach on the floor. I mean, come on, he knows every position and knows what his dad wants, knows what the staff wants him to do.
Let's hope he keeps that stroke going like he did towards the end of the year.
Yeah, at Penn State, he was on fire, and then he got hit in the arm, set him back a little bit, but he can do it. He's got, mechanics. He just needs repetition, needs to keep shooting. He needs to be healthy as well. So Connor will be our guy there in the guard court. Aaron Eulis, Tony Perkins. Tony Perkins came on.
What a year.
Yeah, when Fran put him in the starting lineup, that's a brilliant coaching move right there. And, unfortunately, Joe Toussaint had to take a seat, but, it really improved the Hawkeyes when you got Jordan Bohannon back with the basketball.
Excuse me, and don't you foresee Patrick McCaffrey really developing this year too? And you talk about health and maturing another year. And I really have great aspirations in my mind I think Patrick's game could really come around again, even better than the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's got so many areas that are positives. His length, his toughness, his aggressiveness, his offensive aggressiveness. Now where he needs to improve is on the boards. And that comes with some strength. That comes with being in the weight room. That comes with continually playing against bigger guys, older guys, and banging with Josh Agundale. But he has that length, that God-given ability to rise above people in traffic, and he's got a nice jump shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the one guy that got it going against Richmond there in the NCAA tournament. So, definitely you're going to see Patrick McCaffrey be one of the stars of the team.
I look forward to it. Let's put a pause there. We'll be back with more Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara, and Bobby Hansen, former Hawkeye great and also NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. So we're going to get to that story, Bobby's playing days, and what Bobby's up to now. And again, as I mentioned earlier, he's with the regional director with the Better Business Bureau of Greater Iowa. So Bobby, hang on. We got 2 more segments left with you.
All right, but right here.
I look forward to it. For Bobby Hansen, I'm Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments.
To make the Mershman Seeds delivery experience even better this year, Mershman Seeds is offering you a brand new Apple app called Mershman Delivers. It will give you the estimated time of delivery down to the second and updates you as our truck makes its way to your dealership. Mershman Delivers will provide you the answer to the number one question we get when it comes to delivery. When exactly will the Mershman truck be here? Available on the Apple App Store. Download Mershman Delivers today.
From Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we're participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Here he is, Bobby Hansen, stayed with us for this segment and another segment to close out the show. So we're taking our time with Bobby Hansen all weekend. Thanks for staying over, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get at it.
Let's do it. So Bobby Hansen again, former Iowa Hawkeye basketball playing great and former Chicago Bull NBA champion and won a state title at Dowling Catholic in '79. And what brought you to Iowa City from Des Moines? I know the great Lute Olson had to, but, as a kid growing up, we're all in a relatively same generation here, Bobby. And, the Vince Brookins was here before you, Bruce Sky King back in the day, Candy LaPrince, all that, Glenn Vidnovic, Miller six-pack team in the late 60s, early 70s. But then we go into your era, your freshman year. So let's get you on campus with Lute, what brought you here. And what a freshman year. Who knows they're going to go to the Final Four their freshman year.
Yeah.
With Ronnie Lester.
Who knew what was around the corner, but you had that. You had Ronnie Lester.
That helps.
You had an All-American, a first-team All-American as your secret weapon. Your Michael Jordan before there was a Michael Jordan. And that was one of the main driving factors as you're weighing what college you're going to go to. It's like, well, man, to play with a guy like that would be pretty awesome. Recruited by a few schools, not a ton, but Mark Gannon had committed to the University of Iowa. Drake was a hometown school, and obviously my mother wanted me to stay home and live at home and go to Drake.
Oh, sure.
I was like, scratch that
Yeah,
off
not
the list
happening,
right
Mom.
away. No, Mom, we're not doing that. My father was a Hawkeye fan.
Okay.
Bob Sr., he loved the Hawks, Hawkeye football. So he was always kind of going that way, and he liked Lute. My mother and father both, appreciated Lute taking the time to come to Des Moines and be the main recruiter on that, and got to know him and his wife Bobby Olson as well. And then I had Texas A&M was on my radar. You talk about NIL opportunities. There was a few way back before NIL was NIL, but that was intriguing to an 18-year-old kid when my mother said, "Over my dead body."
Yeah,
So
eligibility might have been an issue.
that
then.
is not going to happen, or you will not come back in this house. So lo and behold, Iowa, Lute was still recruiting hard, and I remember the conversation. This is back when you decided in April of your senior year. And I was confused. I didn't know what to do. My father said, "You go to Iowa. You're here. You're from the state. That's my vote." My mother kind of just said, "Whatever." At that point, and Lute called on the telephone back when they called you on the phone, right? He said, "Hey, Bobby, how you doing? We got to make a decision here. I got to move on if you don't want to use a scholarship here." So I'm like, "Okay, Coach, I need some time. Can I have a little time?" He said, "You bet." I said, "Well, how much time do I have?" He said, "You got 30 seconds. True story. And I went,
That is a little time.
Yeah, that's a little time. The air comes out of your head as an 18-year-old knucklehead. And I said, "I'm coming to Iowa." I didn't want to let that opportunity slip away
for you.
at that
Good for
point.
us.
So, yeah, he said that you made a good decision. You'd be a nice addition. I didn't know, Dave, if I could play at this level.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you never know. You see the guys, Vince Brookins, as you mentioned, Steve Wade, Steve Craftsman, Kevin Boyle. Those guys were talented players. Mark Gannon, big, strong, could run, dunk, could shoot. And I'm like, I don't know. So I made the decision. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And then that summer, I was invited to the USA basketball and got to play on the championship team for the U.S. Men under 20. James Worthy, Sam Perkins, Sleepy Floyd, Darren Day. Yeah, we had a really stacked team of guys, and we were over in Brazil and Argentina for almost a month. Came back a little bit late, get on campus, but that one kind of showed me that, you can play at this level. So now you come on campus, we play our pickup games, and Ronnie Lester was the star. He had a little health issue, got better, but Kenny Arnold was just as good.
Hey, that's right.
Kenny was just as good, and there's so many injuries that year, that freshman year. I had a busted left hand, had to play one-handed with my right hand. Ronnie with his knee, Mark with his ACL, and everybody was hurt. Tony McAndrews, the assistant coach, went down in an airplane crash, survived, but really, really beat up. And that's where Kirk Spiraw was our grad assistant and dorm monitor. He was elevated to a full-time assistant coach for the NCAA. So that's where Kirk got his start, and it was just a storybook year.
And, I got to say, Bobby, every Iowa fan does, and it's not sour grapes. For crying out loud, Ronnie Lester doesn't have that knee issue. You guys win the title. And, oh, by the way, you had to play Daryl Duncanstein, the Doctors of Dunk at Louisville, the eventual national champs. If you'd either played Purdue or UCLA in that Final Four instead of Louisville, and, again, in that first half when Ronnie re-injures his knee, you guys had – I don't need to tell you, you were there. Yeah. That's crazy. You guys had that.
Yeah, playing with confidence.
Yeah, you're on a roll.
It's all about confidence. You're on a roll. Never thought the thought of losing. I can think back 40 years, and it never even crossed our mind. It's like you're just going to continue to advance. Where you beat Virginia Commonwealth, then you knock off North Carolina State down in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now we go to Philadelphia, beat Syracuse, was supposed to advance, and on a Friday night, and then you're down 14, 12, 16 to Georgetown. You run off a great second half, and you knock them off. You're not going to lose, right? So, we had it going, and the unfortunate injury, that's part of the game. Darrell Griffith became a great teammate of mine for the next 7 years when I was in Utah. But we always like to, kid each other a little bit about it. I always give him that. Ronnie was matching you basket for basket.
Ronnie had you. That's
he
right.
had you, yeah.
Bobby, of course, stick that right hand up again if you would. There's that Bulls championship ring. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Obviously, Bobby finished his career out again, 1,000-point-plus scorer at Iowa, battled through those injuries, went to a Sweet 16 his senior year, but we're going to pick up from 83 when he left the Hawkeyes, went to the Utah Jazz, as he mentioned, a year with the Sacramento Kings, and then that year at the Bulls, that that World Championship ring. We're going to be back with Bobby Hansen to close out the show with Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara, in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seed company that's chasing technology or a seed company that's writing the book on it? Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Mershman Seeds has been treating soybeans for decades, long before it was commonplace. We're the leader in technology, introducing Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, with an added fungicide to help produce a faster, more even emergence every single time. Who can you trust with your yields? Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. He's still here, Bobby Hansen, the Hawkeye legend and world champ Chicago Bulls. Bobby, thanks again for hanging around. We got to get to it right away. So you finish your career at Iowa, you go to the Jazz, you play with great guys, the Utah Jazz, John Stockton, Karl Malone, you mentioned Daryl Griffith. List goes on and on. Frank Layden, a great coach, a legendary coach when you were out there. Then you go to the Kings for a year, and the Big Ten comes to play. Hobson goes to the Kings. You go to the Bulls. You have probably, I would say, the greatest 5 to 10 minutes of a guy's pro career.
Yeah.
To culmination of your last year in '92. You replace Michael Jordan. You guys are getting kind of blown out by 15. You come in, hit a 3, get a steal. Next thing you know, Jordan said, Bobby, I promised you a ring. You're going to get one. And what happened?
Yeah, you're 99% correct on that, Dave. It all happened really quick. And you mentioned Utah drafted in the third round, 54th player chosen. They don't even have a third round anymore. So very lucky. Utah did not have a second round pick. Frank Layden was coach, general manager, and president, who's a dear friend to this day. Just an awesome man, turned 90 years old.
Wow.
He gave up his coaching position and played for Jerry Sloan, who was a defender, tough guy.
Former Bull.
Former Chicago Bull. So he had a big influence on my career on the defensive end there, playing, and that was really physical basketball back then, Dave. They don't play physical ball like that now, but that's why everything hurts when I get up in the morning. But 7 years, we had great runs in Utah. You mentioned Karl Malone, still communicate with Karl, still communicate with Stockton. John is just feisty as ever.
Oh, yeah.
He's John Stockton, that our families stay in contact as well, which is the beauty of all of it. More so than a world championship, it's the friendships, relationships that you make along the way, and to have your family communicate. My wife and Kay Malone, they communicate over the phone, and the kids are all growing up and follow each other and all that. So that was a wonderful period. Those 7 years, 2 of the kids born there. Traded to Sacramento, wasn't real happy about that, but it is what it is. That's sports, and Dick Motta was the coach there and had a good run against his Dallas Maverick team. So it just didn't work for me out there. They had 4 first-round picks, and just the blend of rookies and the old guys didn't work. And I requested a trade, try to get back to the Midwest. And it wasn't Chicago. It was anywhere. I went from Minnesota to Dallas. I asked the GM in Sacramento, Jerry Reynolds. He said, you know what, the Bulls were here looking at you. And I said, Chicago Bulls? Not the Durham Bulls or somebody like that.
Sure.
But he said, no, Jerry Krause and Chicago Bulls. And I said, well, he always tried to make a trade when I was in Utah, and Utah wouldn't pull the trigger. So he's like, you want me to pursue it? I said, you bet. Yeah, I'll go to Chicago. I'm like, who do they want to trade? Who do they want? They said Dennis Hobson, young, leading scorer in the Big Ten, young guy playing behind Jordan, wanted to play. Dennis did. I said, well, he'd be perfect out here. You put another young guy with these young guys, a guy that can play. So it took about 2 days to make that. Spud Webb and I were sharing a hotel area together, and I got the word on Monday afternoon that they had made the trade, and I was off to the airport on Monday night.
And I love the fact that Jordan had promised you a championship because you're the only guy in that 92
Yeah.
team that hadn't won the championship. I like the story here as we wrap up, and I hate to do that to you because what a great story. You're going to come back, right? At some point, we got to have you. And you offered him the ball, and he accepted it, the game ball, and you're like, I kind of wanted that, but he won you the championship. We're going to show a picture. My production partner Rob and I are going to put it online. Bobby's singing the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field. We're going to get to that next time. What a storyteller. What great stories. I mean, you have lived an incredible basketball journey. Your wife, Mary, you've been married 35 plus years to her, been with her for almost 40, as we talked about earlier. 3 adult age daughters, two in Chicago, 1 in Des Moines with their families. Bobby, thank you so much.
All right, David.
We'll catch
Anytime,
up with
bud. Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it. Bobby Hansen, Hawkeye legend, basketball player, world champion Chicago Bulls, and joining us here on Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. So for Bobby Hansen, and to you, the viewers, as always, thank you so much. That's all from us. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.